Hi guys, welcome to a new video. This is June and I'm going to discuss the metagame of Spiritforged. Spiritforged has been out for a couple of weeks, a couple of months even now in China, and things have finally settled down a bit. It's getting more clear every day which decks are really good, which decks are still good, and which decks are surprisingly, well, not good, performing worse than ideal. So let's jump straight into it. The last couple of weeks there have been multiple city challenges, which are these between 60 and 130 player tournaments where it's best of one in Swiss and then the best of three top cut, as far as I know. And these tournaments are quite competitive, not the highest level of competition, but much more competitive than a local tournament. And then last weekend, the first regional of Spiritforged in China also concluded in Fuzhou, and yeah, let's discuss everything that happened there. Starting off with the obvious, there's a couple of new decks that are taking over the metagame, especially Draven has taken the spot of Kai'Sa of last format, where it's the most popular deck, it's the deck to beat, and yeah, it's also putting up the results to back it up. And then also Irelia is really taking over. Very popular deck. It's a very hard deck to pilot as well, but that only adds to its charm. It has less performing success than Draven up until now, but it does seem like it's full of potential. It might as well be just one of the best decks of the format. It's just harder to pilot and to get the best players to finalize and optimize the list. Then there's two old decks that everybody expected to still be good, and that's Kai'Sa, just plain old Kai'Sa. It's still great, and Viktor, which is repackaged from its original aggro token synergy list into a more controlling list. But let's jump into Draven. There's two main ways to play Draven, which is mid-range Draven. Let's start off with mid-range. This is the standard way to play Draven. It seems to be favored in China. It's basically, alright, I'm playing red, I'm playing purple among two of the best colors right now, especially purple. I'm putting all the good cards of those colors in my deck, and I'm going to interact with my spells, and I'm going to play better than my opponent. That's just, it's simple as that. It is more consistently showing results. It got first in the Chinese regional in Fuzhou, which is yeah, a great accomplishment for sure. Let's get into the list. It was piloted by iPotu, which is one of, if not the best Chinese player of Riftbound right now. Yeah, iPotu has gotten top 8. I believe this is the 4th regional where he got top 8, and this is the first time he won a regional. I mean, I believe there's only been like 6 or 7 regionals in China right now, and yeah, to get top 8 4 times, an astonishing accomplishment. So if he thinks this deck list is what the pick was at that tournament, he truly believes this is the best list. This is the list that he has the highest chance to win with. It's not like he wasn't feeling comfortable with other decks where he was, I don't know, not experienced enough with it or anything. This is probably the player that is the most experienced with any deck and has the time and experience, talent, whatever you want to call it, to really dive into a deck and get its most potential out of it. So if he thinks this is the best list, yeah, this is for sure a good thought to have in your mind. What we can see is there's in total 8 two cost units. Yeah, I mean, it's a little less than standard. I mean, not in total, but it's interesting. He only plays 2 Treasure Hunter, which is probably one of the most, well, one of the strongest 2-drops right now in Riftbound. Apart from that, only 1 Draven Vanquisher. I think it makes sense. You only need to start snowballing with 1, and you always have access to it in your chosen champion zone. So that makes sense to me. 2 Brynir Thundersong, really respecting this purple power in the metagame, full of interaction. Just shutting that off with your Brynir makes sense. Then you have a Mind Splitter, which is very interesting high-end creature. It's 7 cost unit, but it is a great effect. Just looking at opponent's hand, discarding 1. Not something to overlook. And then yeah, full of interaction. So many interactive spells. I like it a lot. Yeah, it's looking like a great list, but that is to be expected from IPO 2. Then the second build, which is Miracle Draven, kind of like a combo build of Draven. It's a very innovative take on Draven, as well as on Riftbound in general. Riftbound is a very slow game up until now. I mean, we are only in the second set, but this list of Draven really goes deep into looking for synergies that are less than obvious. And these synergies, well, right now turn into a very explosive turn. It's favored in the Western regions, but in China it shows less consistent results. It had a lot of top 32 placements in the Fuzhou Regional. It had 5, and none of them got past the top 32, which is, I mean, that's variance. It's doesn't mean that the deck just doesn't have what it takes to get far in a tournament. Absolutely not. All you need is 2 bad games in one match to just be out of top cut contention. So yeah, it's interesting to keep in mind, but it doesn't mean that the deck is just not performing at all. It is performing very well in a lot of other tournaments, but yeah, not getting past top 32 is something to keep in mind. This is the list. It's got first in Shanghai City Challenge. Here we see this combination of Ezreal Prodigy enabling Cult Shot to be really strong. Then you have Stack Decks. Those 2 cards help cast your Nocturne Horrifying for just 1 power. You have Seal of Discords, which are only 1 power. You have the Traveling Merchant being able to discard Scrap Heap. You have so many cards which are very undercosted, and at some point you should combine them all in one turn and make sure you get enough battering rams so that you can just cast them for 1 energy, and then usually on like turn 4 or 5, yeah, you just played like 8 cards. You just made 20 might, maybe even more worth of units on your field, and from there on you just snowball the hell out of your advantage. You still have all of the interaction spells to back it up. So yeah, it looks like a very strong, less consistent, but so strong, such a high power level version of Draven. Alright, let's get into Irelia. This is the second meta threat out of Spiritforged. It had great showing at the Chinese Regional, and it also has been putting up consistent results. And the build seems to slowly get optimized. Most builds are starting to look a lot like each other. They have a small unit lineup, about 10. I saw some lists before that only run 2 or 3 units in total. They've moved away from that. You have some protective gears, think about Guardian Angel, and then you have a massive count of protection spells, interaction spells, whatever it is. Let's look at the list. It's got top 4 at the Fuzhou Regional. Yeah, so a small unit lineup. Tide Turner seems to be the best unit to be played. Pretty much everyone agrees. Everyone is playing a playset of Tide Turner, which makes sense. It's a cheap unit that can start getting you points, but especially moving something back is very important. And then you got some value cards, Lonely Poro and Stellacorn Herder. Draven Audacious is great in this list. Yeah, being able to score multiple points with just 1 move is very important, and you have the protection to make sure the drawback of Draven doesn't come up all too often. And then, yeah, you see it 2 Defy, 3 Not So Fast. So many pump spells, so many movement manipulation spells. Yeah, it's looking like a very optimized list, and it did well at the regional for sure. Jumping to the older decks that are doing well, Kai'Sa. There's 2 builds right now that are seeing play, that are being popular. Initially, there was a build that was seeing a lot of play, mostly at the City Challenge level, which is Mech Kai'Sa. You're playing all of these mechs, and yeah, this build seems stronger in a vacuum, so not regarding the metagame of other decks, just your own deck. This seems to be more synergistic, so you have a higher power level. It seems to be the natural progression of Kai'Sa builds. It still plays similar to the old Kai'Sa deck, but it swapped some units with now strong mech cards, adding extra synergies, especially with the production surge. But it has some issues against Draven, and that's the main drawback. This got second at the Yangzhou City Challenge. It plays a lot of older cards that we got to love, but it also plays this small mech package, Forecaster, Gem Jammer, and Production Surge, especially with the Ferris Forerunner, which is Ferris Forerunner is being played in a lot of red decks right now. Besides that it is a mech, it is also just a great card in general. This deck seemed to be doing well at the start of the metagame, but a secondary Kai'Sa deck list seemed to be developed, and this seems to be the answer to the Draven infested metagame, especially according to the Chinese regional and the most recent city challenges, which is removal Kai'Sa. It just says, alright, those mech cards are cute, they are strong, but they are not what I want to be doing. I want to be winning against Draven. These mech cards don't help with that at all, so let's just add removal, because at the end of the day, you need to make sure that your opponent cannot win those combats constantly, because if they do, they're getting so many draws. So let's just kill all of their units, and that will be the answer to this Draven plague. And this deck list does that very well. So it put in just individually strong units, mostly from set 1, and then it added an insane lineup of removal and removal. So yeah. Plundering Poro, Ravenbloom Student, Watchful Sentry, great 2-drops. Darius Trifarian, Thousand Tailed Watcher as your higher end cards, and then we have it Hextech Ray, Falling Star, Piercing Light, Void Seeker, Singularity, Cathian Rain. All of them make sure your opponent is gonna have issues with having units on combats, on battlefields. So without units, can't win a combat. So this is the answer that Kai'Sa has come up with against Draven specifically, and it has been doing well. It still has great game against other decks, but especially against Draven, which was a very big issue for Kai'Sa. Otherwise, this list seems to be doing just fine. And then, the last of the old decks that we expected to do well, Viktor. Token Viktor, the old yellow-based Viktor with Viktor Leader and all of the units, seems to be doing worse than Spells Viktor, and it makes sense. Spells Viktor has a great matchup into Draven, and Token Viktor less so. It has put up some results, but in the Chinese regional, all of the Viktor lists just seemed to be lacking, a bit lackluster. It only got one top 64 spot at the Chinese regional, which is not ideal. The metagame is focused on playing Draven, but not everybody is playing Draven, and the Spells Viktor has invested so heavily into defeating Draven that sometimes you're playing against another deck, and that might be harder for you actually. Let's look at the list. This got top 64 at the regional in Fuzhou. We see almost no units. We see a Zhao, we see a Viktor Leader, which is interesting because Viktor Innovator seems to be the standard Viktor chosen champion. Not here though. We see 3 Jace Men of Progress. The idea is that you make a gold token on turn 1 or 2, and you can do that with Chemtech Cask. You can do that with Blood Money. If you go second and you have 3 runes, you can do that with Wages of Pain. And then on the second turn or the third turn, if you're a little bit behind, Chase Man of Progress will be able to play Vanguard Armory from your hand for free. And having a 7 cost Vanguard Armory playing 3 units every single turn, that's going to be crazy. And apart from that, your deck is just full of spells. Removal spells, interaction spells, draw spells, everything that can make sure that you win combat, and also is basically a free draw with the Ravenbloom Conservatory. Yeah, it works very well with Viktor being able to make a recruit every single turn as well. Yeah, it's a very interesting list. I say give it a try. It might be right up your alley, or you might just hate it. But it's interesting for sure. It's good to know how to play against it. There were a couple of surprises. 3 new decks did much better than expected, and there was 1 old deck that also did quite well. Fiora, Ezreal, and Lucian are the new decks that did much better than expected, and then Annie was a very good deck. People said it was just a worse Draven, why even bother playing Annie, but it actually did quite well at the regional as well. Let's start out with Fiora, and this is really the breakout star of the Chinese regional because it got 2nd place. I mean, that's crazy. Everybody knew Fiora was not a bad deck. It had a great signature spell, but nobody expected it to get that far. A top 64 spot, you know, could happen. 2nd place, that's crazy. So yeah, it would only gain traction later on in the metagame. And now it is overperforming in multiple tournaments. Also in the city challenges, it's doing incredibly well. The whole idea is that you're just playing strong units. You are ramping while doing so. You're gaining extra runes. And then you are also backing it up with all those interaction spells and protection spells like Riposte. Let's go into the list. Here is the 2nd place Fiora list at the regional in Fuzhou. And here we see just good units, especially Set Brawler, which is a basically free ramp. You are getting a power back, getting a rune back while you have to pay power. It enters as a 4 might unit, and then it gains a buff so that you can immediately exhaust your Grand Duelist legend and gain another rune exhausted. Yeah, it seems to be doing quite well. The whole idea is that you just play great units, because yellow and orange have among the best units in the game, especially in the mid game, and then you just back it off with so many interactive spells like Punch First, Riposte, Hidden Blade. They're all doing their job perfectly well in this deck. Then there's also a bonus list. This baited hook version of Fiora is doing really well at the city challenges, but it did pretty bad at the Fuzhou regional. It is interesting. Probably the first time since a long time, since the Darius days, that baited hook is seeing some sort of success. This list feels still unoptimized. I played it a couple of times. It does one thing really well. You are getting to play good units. However, you are also investing very hard in this playstyle, where you don't really have to have the room to back it up with the great interactive spells. I mean, you do play them, but most of the time you are developing your board so much, you're killing off your units to gain other units. I mean, if you don't find that those good units on the top 5, you are setting yourself back quite a lot, and then as a result of this, your interactive spells are actually not that great, because if you don't have good units on the field to protect, what are you gonna do with those protection spells? It felt a little clunky, but it is actually doing quite well at the city challenges, so it might get optimized more, it might fall off, who knows. Definitely a good thing to keep in mind. If you love baited hook, which I'm a big fan of baited hook, definitely give this list a try and see what happens. Alright, next up is Ezreal. It's a very popular legend, for sure. I love me some Ezreal. However, it felt underpowered throughout the meta development. A lot of people agreed. It basically felt like you had no shot against Draven. But it actually seems to still sometimes put out some good results. There is potential. It is not really sure what kind of identity Ezreal really has, because yeah, from the looks of it, you are not really triggering your legend ability, or you're not activating it, I should say, all that often. I mean, you can, but it's not like Draven where you're almost getting a drop per turn guaranteed. And yeah, sadly, the best part of Ezreal is just having access to Ezreal Prodigy, which is a great card. But it's not like that's supposed to happen where your legend is like, but your chosen champion is just that strong. So yeah, why not just have access to it every game? Let's look at the list. Before I get into the list, this is Omega Zero, I believe. And Omega Zero was the player that won the national championship. So yeah, that's very interesting to keep in mind that he played this list. Let's jump into the list. We see Pit Crew, and we see only, I believe, 5 gears. That's something to... oh no, 7 gears. Something very interesting. Pit Crew didn't see a lot of play in any other deck. It says when you play a gear Ready Me, it's just a 3 cost unit, and it has 3 power, 3 might, and yeah, that's it. However, when you equip a call to it, every single time you conquer with it, you get to ready him again, move him back to your base, and if you have another gear, you can even move to another battlefield. It's very interesting how it plays, and it's not just those 7 gears that you're playing, the Boots of Swiftness, the 3 Co, and the 3 Seal of Discords. You are also playing 3 Card Sharp, which make a gear, 3 Wages of Pain, which make gears. So there's actually a lot more ways to get gears on the field, and to ready the Pit Crew. Very innovative list. It seems a lot of fun to play, but it still remains to be seen how strong is it really. Something else I should add, those Mind Splitters and Thousand Tails Watchers are incredible with Arcane Shift, so that's also a great combo to have in the meta. However, yeah, I don't see enough interaction spells to really deal well with Draven. I'm still a little bit skeptic about how the Draven matchup seems, but top 32 is top 32. Definitely nothing to be all too sad about. Great list. I think it remains to be seen how the development of Ezreal will take place. Lucian, coming out of nowhere, it actually seems to be doing incredibly well at the city challenges. It has a playstyle similar to Fiora, but it's more aggressive. You're playing red instead of yellow. Yeah, you have the more aggressive units for sure. You have less interaction, more, I mean, cards like Cleave, cards like Darius Treferian as such. Those are great cards to have in a deck. Relentless Pursuit is also a great card. Having movement in orange and red is something that that doesn't happen quite often. Having a signature spell that is not even a bad movement card, it's a really great movement card. Moving a unit, equipping an equipment, and then if it conquers, moving it back as well. Especially with the Lucian that on conquer ready itself. Yeah, it is a great card to have. So let's jump into it. Here we see just gears, equipments, a lot of equipments, a lot of weapon master units, and a lot of aggressive cards. It got top 4 at the Beijing City Challenge. It also got another top 8 spot, so it is doing quite well. Some people are picking it up, and it's looking like a solid meta contender. It's not going to be tier 1, but it is going to have some decent results, and that's also great to have in a metagame like this. Then Annie. Most people have forgotten about what is arguably the best deck of Origins. Especially in China, people really disliked Annie for some reason. In the Western regions, Annie was kind of the solution to this to the Kaisa tier 0 arguably metagame. But yeah, in China, people didn't really get on the hype train. However, at the Chinese regional, it got top 8, and the deck had a similar playstyle to the Western region, a little bit more mid-range than aggressive. What it was used to be in the Western regions. Here we see the list. We see a lot of old cards coming back. We also see a couple of new ones: Draven Vanquisher, Treasure Hunter, to say the least. And yeah, the playstyle is quite similar. I see 2 invert timelines. Not really entirely sure if I like the invert timelines in this deck. It could make sense if you are accepting that Draven is just gonna draw a lot of cards, because you're still gonna use those flashes to move back into your own base. However, I could definitely imagine against Draven, you're going to do this more proactively now, where you're just going to move back even before combat if you have the opportunity to. Yeah. I don't like giving Draven free draws, so I think that is the reason behind invert timelines. Give them those draws. They can't play out their whole hand, and once you are at only like 1 or 2 cards and your opponent's Draven is going to be at 7 cards or whatever, yeah, then invert timelines is gonna even things up, and then you have a good shot of getting back into the game even after giving your opponent a lot of draws. So I think that's the situation that this player was trying to achieve with invert timelines. For the rest, very aggressive, just like the Western regions like to play it. I think it is a great deck still. I think Annie still has an advantage over Draven in that regard, where you are playing more cards per turn. You have more energy, so yeah, you're going to play multiple cards. And in that scenario, yes, invert timelines is gonna come up. It's gonna be a decent card to have for sure. That wraps things up. A very small summary. It really seems like you either beat Draven or be Draven. Yeah, if you cannot beat Draven with your chosen deck, you probably need to adjust your deck slightly or just change it up entirely, because Draven is seemingly everywhere. In top 64, I believe 41 or something, 41 of those were Draven, which is crazy to think about. That's almost 2/3 of the top 64. Yeah, Draven seems to be a lot stronger than the other decks, especially purple. Purple seems to be the strongest color, and most of the time you play an aggressive secondary color like red, or you just go as far as playing almost mono purple builds with, for example, Miracle Draven. We see Irelia playing a very protective purple deck, but purple seems to be everywhere. And yeah, the way to beat Draven in your deck building, in your deck decision, seems to be control battlefields just as well as purple can, as Draven can, definitely. And you can do that either by playing purple, playing very protective cards like Riposte, which is a great way to beat Draven too, or just play infinite removal. Just make sure you keep removing your opponent's cards, and yeah, without units, your opponent is not going to win combats either. So that wraps things up. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something from this metagame. And if you're going to Bologna or Las Vegas, I hope you have some help into choosing your deck build, whatever it is. And I wish you all a happy day.